Okay, so as you can see, I started doing this process with this image I worked on here. This is a little larger than a thumbnail sketch, and you'll be doing 3 yourself. They can be around this size, they can be around this size. Basically, you just want it to be a lot smaller than your paper because you're going to be using these as practice and reference for when you do your larger drawing. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3 smaller images, and then 1 really big image. And you can do that on your newsprint. You can do it on your drawing paper. The thumbnails you should do on your newsprint, but the larger image you should do either on your drawing paper or your newsprint. It's a little bit more satisfying to do a final draft on a piece of drawing paper, especially for an exercise like this, where things like these white areas of positive and negative space, these white areas are really like jumping out at you. On the newsprint, it's a little more gray, so it doesn't quite pop as much, but it's up to you. So you'll be using charcoal. And for this second exercise, I'll be using this chair to reference. And I'm just going to break it down into its basic shapes. So I see, and I'm actually going to work on this bigger, a little bit bigger square. And note with charcoal, you cannot erase it. So just try to be mindful while you're drawing. And if you get frustrated, you can start over. That's the other beauty of working in these smaller squares, is it really doesn't take up as much of your time or as much of your energy to draw on them. So if you mess up really bad and there's no coming back from it, you can always start over. Okay, so with that said, I think we'll make this middle part where I'm going to put these little gaps in between that chair. And I could be wrong, but I got a good feeling about it just by eyeballing. Obviously, you guys can measure it a little bit more. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that's pretty crooked already. That's okay. I'm just doing a quick exercise for you guys. So the idea is to start drawing the idea is, it's so hard to draw and talk at the same time. The idea is to draw the shapes you technically don't see. So I'm drawing all of this white space. And when you're drawing from real life, it'll be a little bit trickier because you'll have all this background noise to kind of work out. All right, so down here, there's kind of this like little, there's this interesting little L shape happening. So I'll do that upside down L there. And just carve out that space. And then there's a little curve there. So I'll just carve out that space. Okay. And then I see it dips down. Carve out that space. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side because chairs are really symmetrical by design. So you have to really focus on getting those sides symmetrical. I think that's a really good way of kind of forcing you to check your work. And then there's another little leg out there. And then there's a big, there's a box whose sides are a little bit slanted. I think that shape is called like a rhombus, maybe? No, somebody correct me. Someone tell me what that shape actually is. then I see there's an additional rectangle. That one's skinny. That one has slanted sides, but it's about equally thick down here as it is up there. Whereas this one is really narrow compared to how wide it is down there. This guy's like, tiny bit more narrow than that one. Top of that little rectangle. Oh, and I ran out of room. Cool. And that is my second chair. And it's a good idea to, when you're doing these, to maybe map out your space a little bit better. I kind of went through rushed, but you could draw by saying like, okay, so I'm looking at this picture plane and I see that this chair is, let's see, the bottom part is this wide and the top part is a lot shorter than that. So maybe 3/4. So I want to give myself space at the bottom. And then the middle part of the chair is at exactly halfway. So I know that this will be halfway. This is where my middle part will be. This is where my top will be. This is where my bottom will be. So I'll just start by drawing out shapes from there. There's that little rectangle. There's the bigger rectangle. Oh, I've already kind of pushed myself too far. And this is why doing these thumbnails is actually a really useful exercise, because then you can see like where things actually fall before you start working on your bigger piece. Right, and then this starts to cut in right around there. It starts to cut in right around there. And then the top is over here. And we'll put, it's got that nice little shape. This weird little, looks like a Mounties hat, like a Canadian Mountie. And then there's a carved in spot there, and a carved out spot there. Same thing over here. Okay, and then all these squares aren't really squares in between, right? They're more like, almost like little cups. They're broad on top, and then they get narrow toward the bottom. Maybe not that narrow. We gotta make 5 of them, so I like to be strategic when there's 5 and be like, okay, so I know that the middle one is gonna be dead center. Okay, so how do I cram 2 more on each side of it? Obviously, I should have thought about that before I made this one quite so wide. Again, that is the beauty of getting all these little practice thumbnails in. And chairs are really pretty complicated. And I think that'll be a challenge for all of us to try to draw this with precision. All right, so you guys are gonna do 3 different thumbnails, and I want one of them to be of this rocking chair, and one of them to be of this Dutch crafter's chair, and then the third chair is one that you have at your own house, and you're just gonna be pretending that the background in your house is white like this. So you're going to try to just address all of the little spaces in between your chair as though they were these white spaces to be filled in as black with charcoal. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 little sketches. One of them needs to be the rocking chair. One of them needs to be this Dutch craftsman's chair. And then third one is your choice. Whichever one you like the most, you're going to then use that one that you like the most. Let's say I like this rocking chair. I'm going to blow it up make it into a bigger drawing using the same exact